So, hi, welcome to the. Oh yeah, that's the audio thing there to remind everybody it's being recorded. No, sorry about that. Anyway, so welcome to the Get Paying Clients for Your Coaching Business session number 8, and we've gone through lots of the bits and pieces on the series. This week I forgot it was half term in the UK, so it's just me and you guys. So thank you for participating. We have got a lot of value from this one anyway, I'm sure, in the discussion we'll have later on. What we're talking about is seminars and workshops, and we started in this business, gosh, 2002 we jumped in, so we're on to 18, 19 years pretty much. I'll call it 20 with a tailing wind, I suppose, pretty much. And throughout those 20 years, the best way I found of engaging with people, building brand and reputation and leads and bringing people towards us, is being on stage, doing a seminar, presentation, or workshop. There's 2 or 3 different types of events that I find work for what we do. Number one is speaking at other people's events. So that would include maybe a networking event or a conference or an exhibition or a seminar, being a guest speaker, doing a 1-hour slot or something like that. Those work really well. I'll touch on those as we go along. The second one will be delivering a workshop on behalf of another company. So either we will be hired to go and deliver a workshop on behalf of another organization to their clients. They fill the room, we turn up. Or the third one will be maybe delivering a workshop to a client. We have an engineering client in Luxembourg, for example, and they will get us to go and do a presentation skills workshop or leadership workshop to their engineers. We've done that in Luxembourg, we've done it in Italy, we've done it in Dubai for the same client, and they send us off all over the world, which is fabulous. So speaking on stage in front of their own audience. And the final one, the last one, is doing our own events and workshops where we invite an audience along. Either we do a paid workshop or we do a little free seminar for maybe an hour or 2 hours in the evening, that sort of thing. So there's various types of event that we do that I'll sort of run through some bits and pieces. So number one, if I look at, well, how do you get on stage at other people's events? How do you get picked? You've got to be visible. You've got to be really clear that you are social media visible. You've got videos and content so people can see you delivering a presentation or a workshop. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, but it's called a show reel. Get a show reel done, and it might only be 3 or 4 minutes long, you just doing an intro, telling a couple of stories, getting a bit of applause, and then wrapping up with a how to contact, that sort of thing. Being visible on social media with that enabled us to get the engineering company in Luxembourg, for example. They saw my show reel, they liked the testimonials that we did, and went for a meeting with them. And we've been working with those guys now for 3 or 4 years. Hopefully now, when the lockdown's coming to an end, we were supposed to go to Italy with them in April last year, and of course that got quashed. But we're hopeful maybe of later this year, next year, getting that back on track. So do a show reel that with you doing your thing. It can be you just talking to camera, doesn't have to be particularly on stage, 3 or 4 minutes explaining what you do, and then you can get booked to go and speak to other people's their teams. So selling to a company. If you want to then contact people, HR directors and people on LinkedIn, for example, let them know what you do. Make sure your profile reflects it, and then they can come to you. What I found with doing a workshop, and I'll send across a couple of documents I use to design the workshop, it's got to be absolutely tailored to the needs of the client. So if I do a workshop, we're doing one next week in Luxembourg again for EY, and it's for what's it for? Which team is it for? I forget now. I think it's for the HR team or recruitment team. And what we've done, we've got a particular subject they want me to cover, and I send them a roadmap of the workshop, and it goes through each hour or each section, what we're going to be covering, what is me presenting, what is them getting, doing role play or them participating, what are the key learning objectives, what will they leave with, and what are the key things we're going to go through on the day. And I have that map laid out. The EY or any client will, they see it, they approve it, they sign it, and then I build a workshop around that roadmap. So I've got all my own, if you like, slides and content and ideas and stories that I use, but I'll bundle them all together and I actually adapt it to suit the needs of the individual client. Everyone that I've used a little roadmap thing with, I think pretty much everyone I've done that a pitch or proposal with that approach, I think we've won. We've got the one. So with AY, we're up there next week, is beginning to open up a little bit more now. So the rule with doing workshops for people, companies, teams, is tailor it to suit. And then, but you've got to be then really, really confident when you're on stage handling. We would do a room full of about 30 engineers talking about leadership or talking about presentation skills. And I found confidence to be the number one. Confidence and ability to hold and engage a room is key at that level. So probably you want to do those sort of things last, or doing a conference gig, do those when you've built your audience and you've got some experience of being on stage. Marie, you were saying you've got a workshop to do in front of 6 people. Fantastic. Do that, because then you can build up from that and go bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, to get these gigs, it all starts, you go all the way, scroll back a little bit, to doing your own events and workshops. And I know, Kev, Sue, I know you do a lot of this as well, where you would invite your audience in on via social media or email or networking, whatever it is, and then you either do a 1 hour, 2-hour seminar in the evening or something like that, or a one-day workshop when you do a product or a program on sales or marketing or leadership, and you invite people in. But my recommendation would be is do a mix of all of them. We've got a workshop we're doing on the 17th of June, which is our regular planning workshop. Is only 2 hours. But then in September, we're back in the UK on this 17th, I think it is, and we're doing a full day, 10 till 4. We're going to go for it, see if people can come along for a day, a one-day workshop planning for 2022. And what I found is if I can get prospects to come to those events, and they sit in the room next to one of my clients, one of my connections or contacts, and they're thinking about working with us or having a coaching program. At lunch, they normally say, are you working with David and Lynn or whatever it is? And they go, yeah, it's really good. Hopefully they say it's really good. And then the people in the room will do the selling. They convince them. So we get clients directly from the workshop. And I think workshops like that has been missing for about 15, 16 months now in our business, and the business is fine, but I'm really looking forward to getting that back into one of the strategies of getting people into the room, giving them a wow factor, maybe a free seminar in the evening, a couple of hours on a subject, or even a one-day workshop. It's probably the number one way of attracting clients. You can do it via Zoom, you can do virtual workshops. Same principles apply, but I think there's no real replacement for a live, engaging, on-stage event as well. So that's a reason for doing it. If you can fill a workshop with 20 people, you're going to get clients out of it. You just are, because they like your style and they get attracted to you. So those are the 4 different the types of workshops that we get involved with. The best ones for attracting clients have been the bite-sized evening seminars. We do a 2-hour sales workshop in Luxembourg or the UK, maybe from 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock, and then drinks in the bar afterwards. We get people into that. It's light and bright, it's engaging, not too long. We get to know them, have a conversation afterwards, and regularly they say, well, we like what you do, can you talk to us, have a meeting with us? So we use it from a lead generation point of view, but also from a client perspective. Hopefully it adds value to the coaching programs with planning events, and most of our clients, as I think we'll probably discover a little bit later on as well, they all know each other to a degree. They all get on with each other, and it's great to meet up and have a coffee and meet for lunch. How you doing? How's your dog? How's the kids? How's this? And what I found is this good community of clients, which are friends basically and colleagues now more than anything else. That's really important, because our target market is business owners, and it's a lonely old place to be, being a business owner. And if they can get together every 3 months, let's say, for a planning event or workshop with a similar group of people, they find it really valuable. It adds value, it adds structure to the coaching program, and we enjoy it too, because we get to meet them. We've got clients now certainly in the UK and Luxembourg we've never met, because we've done the deal over Zoom, if you like, and we haven't met them yet. So when we get back to the UK, it'd be really good to go meet them and see what they actually look like. So that's the reason we do it. I have a little model that I use for designing my workshops. I call it the life model, and a workshop should be lively, informative, fun, and engaging. And I don't mind giving away, what I think is good structured content. But if I'm talking about cash flow planning or leadership or sales or budgeting, I've still got to make it lively so people don't fall asleep. It's got to be informative, something new that they haven't heard before, or something engaging that they like and they participate with, and it's got to be fun as well. So I try and build those 4 components in. I don't want people coming to my workshops to fall asleep or just charge up their tablets and sit in the back of the room. I want to fully participate in the event, get great value from it, enjoy it, build some connections, and have some really key takeaways from there as well. What we're doing in September, for example, is we're going to get people to do some planning for 2022, and I'm literally building the page on the website as we speak. Almost, I was doing it earlier on, and I've called it the Double Your Business in 2022 workshop. So it's really how can you double your business in 2022, and that's the theme for it. So it engages people with a growth mindset, and then I'm going to be clear that I can deliver content and tactics that they can understand and use and implement, such that they get great value from attending as well. So they are really a great way of building your personal brand. We record lots of our workshops. A lot of them are online, whether it's Zoom or live, and it is probably the best way of getting clients. And the reason for it, just real quick before I'm going to open it up, I think, is because when I see somebody on stage, I get to know them, get a feel for their style, their personality. Can I work with them? Do I like them? And I think the same goes for us as well. When we get people in an audience, they get a feel for how we're going to operate, what we do, what our style is, and it makes it easier then to have a conversation. But every event that we've done, pretty much we've won business from them. We don't do hard sell. We don't do a hard pitch at the end of any seminar or workshop. We offer a meeting and a coffee, that sort of thing, nice and gentle. But regularly we get people come to the front of the room and go, can we have a conversation, have a meeting? And that's how we get our clients. So we use it from the 2 reasons. One is a personal branding and business branding, but lead generation is key. And the other one then is clients, for their community and part of their coaching program as well. Those are the 2 key things. If you're not good on stage, I think it's a real missing opportunity for lots of coaches, because I've seen some great coaches who really suck on stage. They're terrible. And it's a shame, because they could really deliver a compelling talk. They would be much more engaging and much more able to attract clients. So, get good on stage, learn some tips and tricks, and be prepared to get out there and get amongst it. So that's why we do it. Those are the type of things we get up to. They absolutely work. I think that we've found the way of making them work. Looking forward to getting back on track in the next few months as the lockdown eases a little bit, and we'll see what happens. But that's why I would recommend it, and see what you think. So anyway, I'll open it up to questions and observations, I guess. But I know Sue, Kev, let's bring you guys in. You do lots of events and workshops, and you guys are really good. So what's your experience and reasons behind seminars and workshops? And Marie, any questions, please jump in. What do you guys experience?
Well, one thing is you can leverage, you're leveraging the room, aren't you? Because you've got 10, 12 people, and you're giving your message to 12 people in a space of time, instead of trying to track those 12 people individually. So that's one thing. The other thing is they do perceive you to be a bit of an expert, because it's something they probably wouldn't like to do, get up and stand in front of an audience. So it gives you the heads up there. You feel better. I thought, because I've done it, because it was something I didn't want to do. I absolutely didn't want to do. But because I've done it, it builds your confidence as well. It builds your confidence that you know your stuff. And of course, if you don't know your stuff, it forces you to learn your stuff.
That's true.
I would have tips though in things that could go wrong. Make sure you check the equipment beforehand. Get the room set up the night before if you can. If you start in the morning, but make sure your PC and everything's working. I've had a couple of times when I've gone to flash up the PC in the morning and I can't transfer the screens, and it's like that. We have an IT guy at 7 o'clock in the morning.
We have a trick that we do, sort of thing that I make. If I do a presentation or a PowerPoint or something like that, I make sure I have it on a memory stick. I have it on my laptop. I email it to myself. I email it to Lynn, and we down. So whatever happens, there's a copy of this thing somewhere. We can grab the PowerPoint. I've had that happen a couple of times. So a bit of important. And also any events, and it's a good point you make. Prepare the night before. If we're doing an event or a workshop or a conference, I'll always drive there maybe the week before or the day before, check out the route, check out the parking. Basically, it's somebody else's event or workshop. If it's ours, not quite so much. Somebody else's. Make sure that there's no parking restrictions or whatever it is. They can get in there. You don't want to be late, and also and get there early. So yeah, do some prep, do some research as well.
Yeah.
So how many events do you guys do on average? You do it, is it a monthly one or every quarter or something?
Well, events are online at the minute, but prior to lockdown, at least one a month, probably 2 a month, most months. So there'll be a different flavour. One will be a business subject, and one might be an overall business workshop. So probably 2 a month. That's what we'd aim to get back to as well.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I think will you keep the Zoom? I say Zoom, the online events going as well as the live events. You think there's a place for both now, given the lockdown?
Well, it gives you 2 stabs at it, I think. Yeah. So yeah, some people will stay in the new age. Yeah. Some people want, there's quite a lot of people want to get back to life as normal.
Sure.
Life is back as normal was going out and watching events. So yeah, I'm guessing we get a second stab at it in a way by staying online as well.
Yeah. I think it'll stay. I mean, I quite don't mind doing the Zoom event. Well, like this, it's easy because you can just rock up, turn your PC on, and away you go. I think it is unfortunate you don't get the sort of the networking and the energy, the same energy from the audience. There's nothing against you guys at all, but the same energy and the feedback and the fun and engagement's not quite the same. But I think if people, what I found is, I'm not sure if we get people from all over the world coming on these. We have people from Canada, California. Yeah. Well, they're not going to fly to Luxembourg to see me talk for 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure of that. Whereas over Zoom, they can log in and away we go. So that can really work.
That's one of the things we found, actually, Dave. We're getting a lot of international type people on. Where were they from last time? The last one was it Turkey? We had a guy from Greece, Singapore,
okay, and Greece.
Yeah,
nice. No idea how they found us.
Well, LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah, LinkedIn.
Yeah, but it's great, isn't it? I think if you look down and something we've learned as well, if you do an evening seminar, workshop, or something like afternoon, like one of these, you can go. You can go east on you can go west on the time zones. The US, you're okay. You can't go any further east, but north and south, you're fine. Into for Europe down to Africa, Greece. That's absolutely fine. So you've got lots of choices there. We have people. Australia is difficult this time of day. I think it must be about. Is it 3 o'clock in the morning in Australia now, or something like that? Yeah. They're not going to do that one, but East Coast US, even West Coast US is absolutely fine. So it opens up an international audience, as you guys have found as well, because it does really open up possibilities for you.
Yeah.
And how do you market and circulate your events? I mean, we use LinkedIn, we've got the web page and that type of thing. But any tips and tricks you found work for you guys?
Same as really is LinkedIn. We have done the flyer thing in the past.
Yeah.
Direct mail in the past.
Direct mail, we've done that in the past.
Right.
Email marketing as well. We've done that. And it's like strange because you could email to the database for a year and not one person at a time. Then suddenly you put back. It's the right time.
Yeah.
For them, and suddenly you'll get 2 or 3 in from email marketing. So so they've been the best ways. And the other thing is getting other people to advertise it. If you can get clients to advertise it, get anybody in your network, and they advertise it.
Absolutely.
And they put it out on their sort of social feeds.
Yeah,
that's
I think one of the tricks is filling the room, isn't it? It's getting people to actually to town. I think this is one of the feedback I see is a lot of people struggle with it, is getting people to show up for it. And we did one was it last week? I forget now, last week or maybe the week before. And according to LinkedIn, we had 106 people register for it. When we ran it, we had 34 people turn up. And it's like, crikey, only 1/3. But when we looked at it, what it was when we send the invitations out to people or they see it on LinkedIn, it's so easy just to click yes, and they don't know what they've done. Because I sent a message to people and said, thanks for registering for the workshop, and they come back in a panic. I haven't registered for anything. Don't invoice me, don't bill me. I didn't do anything, and they don't know what they've done. It's like, bro, just relax. It's all right, But so people don't. So what we've changed now. What I've done, I'm not doing it on a LinkedIn event as much. I'm doing it on our event page, and people have got to actually register on the page. And once they register and go through with an email address, we've got more people signing up for it, but we're pretty certain now these guys and gals are going to actually, they're going to appear, they're going to show up. because filling a room is a real challenge for lots of people there.
Yeah.
But, and how many people do you get in your workshops, Sue, Kev, in terms of live or virtual?
I mean, the most we've had would be the last LinkedIn, would be about 55, was it? But mostly, we had a nice quirky venue that we used to use, and it was the room wouldn't hold many more. It was packed if it was more than 20.
Right.
So
Okay.
it was the room always looked full.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to do work too hard to it looked more impressive in a smaller room with more people, with less people. Sorry.
Yeah.
So and it was a great venue. So
yeah,
we'd go back there. But 55 is the most we've had.
Yeah. I think there's a myth, or a lot of myths out there about getting, hundreds of people in a room. I don't really get it. For me, I think maybe for you guys, the sort of sweet spot, I suppose, is probably 20, 25, maybe 30 people, something like that. Because then we can, we can connect with them all, we can engage, we can talk, we can chat. And it's more, if you get a room of 100 plus, you can do it, but then I think you lose some of the personality and the engagement for it. And plus people.
I think you've got to persevere with the fact some of those are room fillers as well, Dutch. Some people are just serial junkies for seminars. Right. So but they put their bums on seats.
Yeah,
and make the room look a bit full. So
as long as they're friendly, it's sort of okay, isn't it? Yeah. And we did an event once back in the day in Birmingham, and we did it at it's called the Midland Institute, which apparently is the university that Darwin went to. It's a very old traditional university. And we're doing this presentation. After about 20 minutes in an evening seminar, a little old boy puts his hand up and he said, "I've got a question." And he said, "This isn't the ancient archaeology class, is it?" I said, "No, no, it's not." What worried me though is it took him 20 minutes to figure it out. So my presentation skills can't be that good, because he was sat there making notes for 20 minutes. Then he realized it wasn't archaeology I was speaking about. But target audience is key. And even if you only get half a dozen prospects in the room with a few fillers and friends and colleagues and whatever, I think it's absolutely fine, providing you get something out of it, especially if you're doing it as a sales lead gen workshop and there's value there. I think it's absolutely fine. So, so we aim for that. So about 20, 25 people will be fine. Yeah. And venue-wise, any tips on venues? No, you've got a very nice venue. Is it that hotel you use, isn't it? It's yours? Yeah,
it's a privately owned hotel.
Yeah.
Very quirky, very old, it's original. It's got nice and quaint English place.
Yeah.
So
we this time when we're in the UK in September, we're going to the Holiday Inn, mainly for logistics. It's just off the motorway, off the M6. North of Birmingham, so people can get there. It's been refurbished. It looks pretty good. And I found the key thing is access, road access or rail access, and parking. We've got to have free parking, which this place has got. And then once people are there, provided it's got a decent cafe restaurant, they tend to be pretty happy with it. And we use Lilleshall as well, which is really nice. Yeah. But they're refurbishing at the moment, so we're not sure that one's ready to be used. But definitely free parking is a key one for us as well there. So.
Yeah, I think location is probably one of the key things. Yeah. And service as well. You've got to, because if the service is poor, or the bathrooms are dirty, or any of those things, it's a reflection on you, even though it's not down to you to go and clean bathrooms or make the coffee. It's all those little things that sort of make a difference. We've always put bits on the tables, haven't we? Bowls of fruit and sweets and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And it doesn't, nobody's not going to do business with you because you didn't put any fruit on the table. But it's just the little tiny touches that people like, that make them feel. That they feel wanted and valued.
I think we would, if we go to a new location, and we're probably going to do this as well with this other one, we'll do like a mystery shop. We'll go there and have coffee or have a lunch or something like that, and just see what it's like, and check the as you say, the bathrooms, the restrooms, are they clean and fresh and looked after? Is the carpet all threadbare and worn, or whatever it is? Are the staff and pretty much happy and engaging, or are they depressed and miserable? And you've got to be so careful with it, because it is a reflection. So we do sort of mystery shop first, and also checking on the exactly what you're going to get when you book a room. Are you going to get a projector? Are you going to get a flip chart and pens? Are you going to get coffee in the morning? Are there going to be biscuits? And be really specific on what. I don't mind paying for stuff, but I want to know what we're going to get, because, as you say, so it does represent you, it represents us. We want our people to have a good experience because we're a premium brand. You know, we're not selling, you know, potatoes off the back of a lorry. We're doing a professional service, and the whole thing should be seamless all the way through, in my opinion. So yeah, tread very careful. I mean, we struggle in Luxembourg with this. Marie might know as well, because customer service at some hotels in Luxembourg, it can be hit and miss is the just some of it's shockingly bad. Some of it is miraculously good as well, to be fair. There are some great locations in Luxembourg, but sometimes just well, anyway, we just won't go back there because they were dismissive and rude to us, and if they're going to do that to us, what they're going to do to our clients, you know, so we just avoid. Anyway, so we found, just as a tip for Luxembourg, I'll say something nice about Luxembourg: both the Novotel and the Sofitel on the Kirchberg, great. Go for those two. That's absolutely fine. There are other ones around which remain nameless. One slightly close to the airport that I will not go to again. But Sofitel, Novotel, really good. And so there are some good ones here as well. But check them out first. Make sure they're as good as they say they're going to be as well. Okay, so Marie, any join in, please. Any questions or thoughts or observations? If you're doing your first, you've got some sort of seasoned campaigners here, I guess, on the call. So how can we help?
So something very basic to start with. When you do your online workshops, do you have like a preferred solution or something? Because I found out that a lot of, let's say, Zoom or something else, have a very limited capacity when it comes to add a couple of people and stuff. So I've been passing a good part of my week to try to compare what is possible, what is not, for how much and stuff. Do you have one solution that's kind of stand out from the others?
I'll just jump in first. For me, we use Zoom. We go on the professional. We pay for Zoom Professional. I found it to be adequate because we very rarely go over. The biggest Zoom thing I've done is Promise and Think Now, and would be about 65, 70 people, something like that. And Zoom is absolutely fine for that sort of engagement. It's good for recording as well. I mean, it's recording now, it downloads to the PC or up into the cloud. It does seem to be better in terms of quality and clarity regarding other things that I've used. There are other ones out there, like, you know, to GoToMeeting. There's ones that the bigger corporates use. But for me, I use Zoom, and for what we do, it's absolutely fine. But I do pay for the premium package. Sue, Kev, what do you find?
We're the same.
We're the same.
Same as Zoom, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got used to Zoom now. Teams, and there's nothing against Microsoft. Teams I find to be just clunky, especially when from an outsider joining an looking into participating on an organization. I've done a few via Teams, and it just seems I don't know why. Perhaps it's me. I'm assuming it's not Zoom. I don't get on with Teams very well. It also seems to nick the video from other apps. If you use Teams, video won't work on Zoom, for example. There must be they're fighting each other. But so I prefer Zoom for that reason. What you'll find if you go down from doing work for some of the bigger guys in Luxembourg, they will have their own system. And that can be fun, because if you know the controls are all different and they're recording it, and that's it takes a bit getting used to. But if in doubt, for me, I think of what we do, I go down the Zoom route.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And my second question as a newbie would be, do you have like any tips so like, I found it almost easier to kind of promote yourself online and stuff. You can do posts, you can, interact with whatever potential audience and stuff.
Yeah.
In real life, like, do you guys have some tips on how to start networking around, hey, I'm doing this workshop, or yeah, anything really.
Yeah. Oh, well, Kev, Sue, I think you guys do a lot of networking. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you're networking online, but you're taking them offline. So it's the same. It's just the same approach, but that you taking them away from the internet to present to them. So it's just it seems different, but it's not. The marketing is exactly the same, effectively.
Yeah,
that's what. You agree with that?
Yeah. The thing I've found with doing online events as opposed to events over coffee and cake is people leave it a lot later to sign up. So on coffee and cake, you know, if your numbers were poor and you were still a week out, your numbers weren't really going to go up. But with online events, you know, you've got people literally signing up a couple of hours before the event, and it doesn't matter because you don't have to tell the venue that you need coffee for X amount of people, or, you know, enough tables and chairs for everybody. And of course, you're not then paying for refreshments, lunches and things for people that don't show. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of pluses for doing it online. And a lot of our clients like it as well, because we record it, you can then give it to them. We don't give it to everybody, but we do give it to clients if they want to use it as training materials with their teams, or, you know, if they're on holiday and they can't make something. Whereas previously, when it was in person, there were all the pluses, the networking and interacting with each other. But if they're on holiday, that was it, they missed it. They got the notes and the PowerPoint and the handouts and that sort of thing, but it's not quite the same.
That's good.
It can sometimes be worthwhile doing a phone call with them before you do a live event. You know, just turn around, just position yourself. We're all in this. I'm presenting to you in a few days time. I'm just ask you what. So if I'm going to make this a magic morning for you, what would need to be in the presentation, and get their feedback. You can start to get a flavour and a sort of a feeling for whether or not you think they're going to show up. You can sort of get, if they're committed or not. But also, it does give you the opportunity to reshape your workshop a little bit towards what their needs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the networking, physical networking and online, the mix. I think the beagles turned up now. Hello, dog. I think the pandemic since March last year, when we all got locked down, I think it made people okay with being on video and on Zoom or whatever it is now. They're used to it. They're working on it now. So I think there's just my take. I think there's two things. One, they're used to it and they're okay with it, but also they're bored with it as well. And they do want, I think, to have the actual physical experience. And maybe it won't be a monthly physical workshop. I'm thinking like it might be a quarterly physical workshop with a monthly Zoom in between or something like that, which I think people will be okay with. But maybe that people do want to get out and about. I think there's going to be a place for doing things like, you know, what are called signature locations or retreats, where maybe it's even a weekend. You know, we're considering planning one for later in the year. When we've done it before, we go down to, you know, Monaco or somewhere like that, and we just have a long weekend, couple of days content. Okay, people got to take time out of their day and their business, but those sort of signature events rather than just a technical workshop, I think, well, I hope those going to be popular because we like doing them anyway. So you can really build these sort of things into like a retreat or maybe a 2-day event as well, and that takes a bit of running. But if you can get the right people there, we've always had good results with those sort of events as well.
Yeah.
And plus, if you get down to Monaco, we've done Saint-Tropez, Cannes, Monaco, Strasbourg. What else have we done? Anyway, because it's all tax deductible, people travel there from wherever it is, and because they're coming to a proper business event, all the travel, the hotel, everything like that, the subsistence, it's a tax-free. I'm going to be careful what I say now, I suppose, but it's a tax-free break, you know, business break. That, you know, a lot of people in business in the smaller SME sector, they don't get to go to conference, they don't get to go to the big events, whereas we can give them that experience of having where if you work for a big pharma company, one of the clients in Luxembourg, every year they take all their team on a cruise for a week, and there's like 8,000 of them. It's insane, you know. They go on a big cruise, away they go, and it's amazing.
That's a big ship.
Well, no, yeah, there must be a fleet of them. There must be a fleet, or they must go into, must follow each other around the med or something.
Yeah.
But they, you know, they do this on a regular basis. Well, of course, the SME business, they don't get that. So we can give them that sort of experience of an excuse to go abroad, international, to a nice hotel, have an event, and it's a bit of a, yeah, it's quite a nice thing to do, I would have thought. So that's something else we're going to build into our plan as we go along.
I think as well with those sorts of events, there's a lot of learning that happens obviously in the classroom, as it were,
Yeah.
but there's also a lot of learning that happens outside of the classroom.
Absolutely.
Where people will talk to each other and share experiences. Even our half-day in-person workshops, we always end with lunch, because what we found was some clients would drive into us, and some of them sort of drive in, an hour and a half to come to a workshop,
Yeah.
and then they're leaving, and they've got to go and find a garage or something to get themselves, a gotti sandwich to eat on the way home. So we started including lunch with it as well, and the amount of additional learning that goes on over lunch.
Absolutely. I think it is that sort of network, isn't it? They spar ideas and they make new connections and that sort of thing. And I think, for these events, increasingly our job is to just facilitate, rather than present for 8 hours, a bit of content, break out, have a chat, some more content and review and this sort of thing. And I think we're really facilitating it more than anything else. So, yeah. Okay. So, sorry, Marie, to answer your question. We've gone right off a tangent there for you, but still.
Oh, good.
Anything else? I mean, you've got your first one coming up. So how long have you got to be on stage for your first one?
So it's a 6 hours workshop. So I'm still working with the attendees to know what's for them the best option, 4 times an hour and a half or half a day or whatever they want to do. Because I'm giving this for free to validate my training.
Right, very good.
So it takes a lot of pressure off my shoulder to start with. Not that I want to do crap. I will always try to do my best, but it does kind of, ease a bit the, will they get value for what I'm doing and all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They will. What's your subject? Did you have a particular theme or content you've got to deliver as well?
Yeah, so I was in training with Mark Dooley. Mark Dooley is a guy who has created a program called Infinite Possibilities, and it's all around the law of attraction, basically.
Okay.
So he has just make it a kind of format that can be learned on specific subjects and all of that.
It's quite a light and bright, fun subject, though. It's not like you're doing cash flow forecasting for dummies or budgeting and forecasting or something like that, or tax law for beginners. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's really nice because they really give the training is done, as in you have 7 chapters and it's up to you to teach it as you want, but they really give you the format on it. So
nice. Okay, that's great. And when's it scheduled for? Are you just getting dates sorted out now?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna find out what the attendees want and just go with it.
Fantastic.
Just jump in the pool.
Exactly. It's the best way to do it. I think I remember when I was a young manager back in the day, my first ever presentation I did, proper presentation, was at the Society of Environmental Engineers, SEE, in London. And the company I was working with, we'd just gone through the ISO 9000 accreditation. I had to do, I think it was 2 hours on ISO 9001 accreditation, which is pretty dry. It's pretty, yeah. So I did that, and we got great feedback from it. They always say nice things anyway. But it taught me, what it taught me was that, one, I actually enjoyed being, as scary as it might be, I enjoyed being on stage in front of people if I knew my stuff. If I know my stuff, and I can, answer questions and that sort of thing, have a bit of fun and engagement, I actually enjoyed it. And those are the sort of events I wanted to do. And I found it to be never easy. I still get nervous. I mean, so I bet you guys get nervous as well, even now.
Yeah.
But I think it's a positive thing. It keeps you sort of, as long as it's not nerves where you're literally throwing up behind the curtains before you go on stage. Gentle nerves, I think, are okay. Keeps us sharp. But no, I've learned to enjoy it. And so will you, Marie. I think it'd be a great skill for you to have, which I'm sure you've got anyway. But then to build it into your practice as you go along.
Yeah, so I've been giving trainings because I used to be a QA and a trainer in a
Oh,
big
okay.
American company.
Yeah,
But it's not the same, I think, when it's for yourself, you know.
that's right. Yes, it is a bit
It's
different. Yeah, but it's just
different.
you.
Yeah. You
I
can
remember,
hide, you know, when I was training for the company, I was like, yeah, not making the rules, sorry, you know, that's the
yeah,
way it is.
don't shoot the
But
messenger.
yeah, exactly. But this time is gonna be a tiny bit different.
Yeah, but it's not really. I mean, what was your first presentation like, Sue? Kev, when we remember the first one as a coach? I mean, what was your first one like?
So I was okay.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I mean, I was worried about it, but the feedback was good. I knew my stuff.
Yeah.
I know my stuff better nowadays, but I knew it okay in those days.
Yeah.
So yeah, a trick I was taught when I'm feeling nervous is to eye contact with a member of the audience. It's focus on the audience. Because if you focus on the audience, then you're not in your head. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first one we did, well, that's true. The very first one that we did, we got some of the neighbours and friends together in the conservatory of the house and said, right, sit down, shut up, listen to this, here's some beer. And I did a presentation, and of course they were fine with it. Then we did another one 2 weeks later, and we hired a little a coffee shop in the middle of this little town, Newport in Shropshire, and a little coffee shop. And we assumed 20 people were going to come along. We had sandwiches and cake and everything like that, and nobody showed up, like zero. So we had the owner of the coffee shop, her husband turned up, the waiting staff were there, and their boyfriends turned up. We had about 8 people there, and we did the whole workshop and had coffee and cake afterwards. So it was really good. It was great, but we didn't get any business from it. So what I found was it's filling the workshop was that's the secret sauce. If you can get people there by sort of not by hook or by crook, but you can get people in a room, the workshop is actually quite straightforward. The hard stuff is filling the room, basically.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we
I
learned that
think
lesson.
the challenge is if it's a free workshop, and certainly like for us, if we do our Take Control of Your Business workshop and we do it every month,
Yeah,
and it's free, then it's, well, if they don't turn up, it's fine, we'll go to the next one.
sure.
We've tried lots of different things, you know, it's free, but there's a donation to a charity that we're supporting.
Yeah.
That didn't have any improvement on attendance. And in fairness, people that have actually paid to come to workshops will sometimes just not come because life will have got in the way.
Yeah.
So there doesn't seem to be any one way to sort of say, well, you know, if you make them pay, they'll always turn up, or, you know, if it's free, that they'll always turn up. It's just understanding that there's always going to be that drop off, and not to get upset by it. It's not personal, it's just something else happened.
Life happens.
Yeah,
we've decided we're charging, we will be charging, it might be for the just like 25 quid, you know, just to cover, because when we book a room with a lunch, we've got to pay the day delegate, whatever happens. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to charge, and they pay for the day delegate. At least they're going to get huge value for that. If they don't show up, we're not out of pocket. I don't like being out of pocket. And if it's 25 quid to come along, well, crikey, you know, then it should be extremely good value after that anyway. But in Lux, we do the LinkedIn local networking events. I don't know if you were, if Marie, we were connected when we were doing that sort of thing. So we've got I'm going to say license. I don't know if it's a license, but we've got approval, I suppose, to run and deliver the LinkedIn local networking events. And these were things we do once every 3 months. And we would get in Lux probably 70, 80 people there in a room, and we do a couple of presentations, a couple of drinks, and we were charging €15 for that, and that was fine. And all he does was cover the cost of the room. We didn't make any money out of it, and rightly so. That wasn't the idea. But $15, if they pay and don't show, well, that's fine. But we would give them, you know, a couple of glasses of wine, some nibbles, the room, and some present. So it was a pretty good value, you know, for Luxembourg prices. 15 euros, sorry, was pretty good value. So I think we're going to continue to charge, certainly for our live events. We're going to cover our base delegate cost with ticket price, at least. If we're doing a public workshop, we charge $195, $250 for a day ticket anyway, which is fine. But for other people coming along, I think we're going to charge, just because it's good value there. So why wouldn't we, to a certain extent? And it encourages people to come as well. So so put some prices into it, I would have thought.
Actually, David, that leads me to a question I wanted to ask you as well, because I know you know Luxembourg very well.
Yeah.
As you said, sometimes it's special for on certain aspects. I have never like coached there, but I've been there for looking for work, and I could see the difference between there and Ireland, where I was living before, where everything is really informal and
It's not
yeah.
Ireland, that's for sure.
It's the complete opposite. I was shocked. I mean, I'm not Irish, obviously, but
No.
yeah, coming from France and then Ireland and then Luxembourg, there was a lot of cultural conflicts in there. Is there any faux pas to avoid, or any kind of tips when it comes to communicate and do business in Luxembourg?
Oh, not really. What I found for Luxembourg was, because it's quite a transient town, a lot of people move in, we've got a lot of cross-border workers, and some people are only there for 18 months and they disappear again, both employed and otherwise. And what I found was we had to be in Luxembourg, visible, networking, all this sort of thing. And we got nothing for 18 months. And then for some reason, people then realized we were sort of here to stay. And then it was okay to talk to us. And then it sort of took off from there. So compared to like for the UK, that doesn't happen, for example, in my experience. But Luxembourg, yeah, because it is quite transient. That's a good thing as well to a degree, but people like to see that you're going to be there in the long run. So you've got to sort of build your credibility. There are some sort of, I suppose it's a little bit cliquey, you get the expats, you get the Brits, you get the French, you get the Germans, you get the, it makes no difference to me at all. I don't get it. I've avoided some of the, the British Expat Association where they get together and go watch the football. I just avoid those like the plague. I don't want to go down that route. So I try and keep it very, very general. Don't get into anybody's camp or anything like that, or nothing contentious or anything like that. There's quite a bit of a sensitivity in Luxembourg to an extent, in a good way. But apart from that, not really. No, I think there's still the same. There's an expectation, I think, of, how shall I put it, polish and excellence in Luxembourg, that it's expected to be a good event. And if you're going to serve wine, it had better be pretty good, because these people aren't daft. They know the wines. They like Cremant, not champagne. They want to have good quality food. And if you're going to do the canapes, well, biscuits won't cut it. They've got to be something a bit, pickled artichoke and prawns, that sort of thing. It's got to be a little bit fancy to a degree for Luxembourg. But no, apart from that, no, I found that the humour works in Luxembourg the same as it does anywhere. For me, being British, I'm very careful what I talk about. For me, I would never, if I'm in the UK, we would joke about the French, the Germans, but I won't do that in Luxembourg because we're outnumbered. They're going to be sensitive around which probably wouldn't be a challenge for you, I don't think. But generally pretty much the same. Just watch out for but being visible and being perceived as being in there for the long run. I do see a lot of people, and coaches as well, where they pop up, they make a big splash. They're going to transform the Luxembourg coaching world, and they make a lot of noise for 6 months, and they go and get a job, and they disappear again. Which fair enough, but people need to have that. They need to know you're going to be there for long term. I think that's about the major difference.
Okay.
Yeah, but in the UK, I don't know. Kevin's not quite. I mean, it's not quite as transient, certainly the UK. I think the difference I get from the audiences, I think, from the UK to Luxembourg is much more international, much more mixed. And I would have to, if I'm doing a presentation in the UK, I can speak at full pace. I can use a bit more jargon. I can drop out some jokes that the Brits would understand if a bit of humor is okay. Luxembourg, I speak more slowly and more measured, out of courtesy to the audience. I don't want to lose them. And humor, I've got to be slightly careful with the humor. I don't want to upset anybody. But I'll pick on the Brits. A bit of self-deprecation is okay. So a slightly different approach, but no, it's pretty much the same. Pretty much the same.
Yeah. Another thing, actually, something we haven't mentioned yet, which is in terms of your presentation, is the use of videos.
Yes.
Particularly for up in the fun sometimes. You mentioned about a cash flow workshop. I've done a finance workshop. You can find some funny videos on finance. And if you are going to use video, make sure the venue you can pick it up at the venue, because otherwise you've got to embed it into your slides.
Yeah, but videos are good, and the thing is that I've always found with any audience, with any subject, pretty much a little bit of lightness, a bit of humor. We're not comedy acts or anything like that, but a little bit of humor always goes down. It sort of breaks the ice. It relaxes people, and there are very few subjects that I won't sort of talk about. But if I'm going to talk about something contentious, I'll talk about the British in Luxembourg, because I am British, I can get away with it. But a bit of humor absolutely works. It relaxes people. And there's this I was told when I came to Luxembourg that obviously the Germans don't have a sense of humor, and the Luxembourgish are very, they don't trust people from outside, and those sort of things. Like, crikey, how come? But it's rubbish. There's no such thing as a race of people or nationality of people that don't have a sense of humor. It's insane. Everybody's got a sense of humor, and a bit of humor into a workshop or an event. Yeah, most people are absolutely fine with it. Absolutely fine with it. Even the Germans.
Yeah.
A few months before lockdown, I started presenting our Take Control of Your Business workshop for women. So it came as under a sort of business coaching for women by a woman in business, which attracted some interest. But if ever you go down the female only route, Marie, be careful. They are much harder to control. What I found was, in mixed groups, that's fine. And to be fair, most of the women didn't say an awful lot. Not when it came to interacting. They did over coffee. But suddenly when you've got a table or, a room full of women, they want to talk, which they wouldn't do if there were men in the room. So it can be quite difficult to keep it back on topic and to keep on time. So I really did struggle with that. I mean, I'm not as experienced as Dave and Kevin when it comes to presenting, but you sort of an hour in, you've only done the first 15 minutes of your presentation, and you're thinking, how am I going to call this back? And get them back from coffee as well. Yeah. But it was good, and it attracted the audience, but it's just that learning curve to know that actually I need to be a bit more in control from the front of the room. Plus, of course, whenever Kev's presenting, I'm in the back of the room controlling it for him anyway. So
it's an interesting one. I mean, I wouldn't dare to make any comment on the difference between women and men in terms of their ability to talk. I get shot for that. So you absolutely can. But I think most of the audiences we tend to get are mixed. But I do see a lot of coaches out there doing, women's only subjects or programs. And I get it. It's a niche. There's a lot of people doing it. And I wonder, I mean, just a personal view, I work with male business owners, female business owners, and in between as well. We have a variety of types of people working with, absolutely. And I don't differentiate between them in terms of what is that they need, or content or structure, not particularly. I've actually found women to be probably more open to ideas than men. On balance, they are more probably intuitive, and they try things, they'll take a risk, and if something goes wrong, they put it down to experience, whereas guys tend to, they're ego driven to a certain, they don't want to take a risk, it might go wrong and it affects their ego. There is a slight difference there, but I would have, just a personal thing, I wouldn't go down the route of a specific niche for women business owner entrepreneurs only, or confidence for women, or for men for that matter. The same thing applies. I think general is probably the best way to go, I would have thought.
Yes, so I agree with Sue, because I am in the domain of life coaching or personal improvement or whatever. I'm doing a lot of workshop at the moment, as in attending workshops and trainings. In this domain, you have between 85 and 90% of attendees are women.
Yeah.
There is a big difference, I think, with business coaching. Is like, yeah, I would say at least a good 3/4. So in my 6 people, for instance, there is one guy for the next
Wow.
workshop. So it is making a big difference. So I know, so it's going to be a problem. You're right. Because I've been enduring that in the last workshop. You give them, do you want to give an example? Somebody wants to talk, and then they just
Off they go.
yeah, you can get it back.
I did some research on it first, and I reached out to a couple of hundred women to sort of say, is this something you would like? It wasn't overwhelmingly, but it was enough to sort of say, give it a go, where women said, they felt intimidated by men in a workshop environment, maybe because that's women business as opposed to life. I don't know, because I mean, these days there are just as many women in business as there are men in business.
Indeed.
But there's still a certain amount of intimidation of women in business for any number of reasons. It was just something. If I ever did it again, I've been asked to do a presentation for a network of business women, and that's, I think, a database of about 3,500 women.
Okay.
And I've asked them to do a 2-hour presentation for those. But for that one, it's one of those that you said, Dave, they do all the marketing and everything else.
Yeah.
I just turn up
That's
and
it.
talk.
Right. Yeah.
So that's completely different. But
I think that it's just an observation. From the outside looking, I'm going to be careful what I say. Lynn was invited to a women's only event in Luxembourg, and it was something like women's empowerment workshop in Luxembourg, and Lynn was invited to it, and she wrote back and said, "How dare you assume that I'm not empowered?" She just didn't get it at all, did not register. And there just seems to be, I'm choose my words carefully, there seems to be this assumption between men and women that women need fixing. They're more broken or they're more damaged. And I don't know if that's the case or not. I hope it's not. But it just seems to be an unfortunate assumption that people make when they go for these workshops for women, when it's all about, empowerment and confidence and things like that, which I get it, and absolutely. But I do think there is an unfortunate underlying assumption there that women are broken and need help, and I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, Sue, I know you have you're not broken and damaged, for goodness sake. Lynn's not broken and damaged, and there's some very powerful, successful women out there that I'm sure aren't broken and damaged. It just seems a very unfortunate niche that some people fall into, that's all.
Yeah.
I just know for myself, for instance, there is a very specific part of my coaching that I want to dedicate to women, because it's the way we behave in a relationship.
Right.
And I know I am going to dedicate it only for women because I am a woman. That's the only reason for it. And I know the difficulties as a woman and my experience as a woman. But I get what you said. Well, but you're right, because when you word it, it's really difficult to say, I'm going to help you with X, Y, Z without saying you're broken or you do something wrong. It's really hard to kind of find a balance in the wording for that.
Yeah, it's, and again, Lynn refuses to go to the women's only events. This for that very reason. But she'll go to a networking event or workshops and seminars, and absolutely, hold her own. She's a business owner, entrepreneur in her own right, and this sort of thing, which is as quite right as it should be. It's just I want to watch out for the niche. But we're very general in our approach to anybody can come to our workshops. We have no filters or anything like that. What we find is people normally that we work with, however, regardless of their background or gender or whatever it is, if the personality is right and they connect with us, we can do great work together. And it doesn't matter really. That's our only filter. People come to us when they like us and they value what we do, I suppose. I think same for Kevin. So you guys, same sort of thing, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're up to the hour pretty much, and my dinner's ready. It's in the oven, so I got to get my dinner or my tea. I was challenged on this actually, because in the UK, this is one of the differences in the UK in the evening. You guys, do you have your dinner or do you have your tea in the evening, Kevin?
Tea.
you have your tea. So I'm going for my tea. But of course, to anybody who's not, not British, tea is a drink. And they go, what, you just, exactly. And it is a drink. And they're trying to explain, well, I drink tea, but I'm having my tea. I drink tea with my tea. And he's like, oh, anyway, it took a while to explain that one. So I'm going to go and have my tea with a cup of tea, maybe a glass of wine, I don't know. So thank you guys for showing up. I hope it's been helpful. I get the recording downloaded, put it up onto the website. Sue, Kev, great to see you guys. Thank you for participation. Marie, as always, great to see you. We're back next week when half term is over, and I'll ping the notes out as we go along. So great to see you all. Have a lovely evening, and if not before, I'll see you guys next week for number 9 next week. I think it is.
Brilliant.
All right, thanks, guys. See you real soon.
Thank you very much.
Right, bye.
Bye.